Alright, we are gonna make some coasters. I made these and they were the only ones that sold out at my last craft show. So I'm going to make some more. I haven't made any on these hexagon tiles yet. Just got some of these, so I'm going to try it. But basically it's kind of like a ripple effect, but it's controlled. And I'm going to make them in my sunset colors because I love those so much. And the colors are, I have Dandelion and Valencia and Wild Plum. This one is kind of a pinkish purple. These are all by Ranger. And then I'm going to use Boysenberry. This one's brand new. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, I think that'll be a good one. So they're going to go in this order, and that kind of represents the sunset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them each in a dish here. And I'm just going to start one by one, but I'm going to do probably like 10 drops. And then I'm going to do equal parts alcohol ink to alcohol. And this little needle dropper has alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, 91% in it. So, and just wipe that away. My paper towel for wiping has gotten pretty dirty. Okay, so we're gonna drop 10 drops, and these little bottles, they're like needle nose bottles you can get on Amazon. And if you need a link to all of the supplies, let me know. I can add that to the description afterwards. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to run it just run a line along the top. I'm actually going to separate these a little bit so that I don't hit each one. And you're just brushing it gently across. Don't worry too much about it being straight or perfect. It's not going to be, and that's kind of the cool part of it. So you can, if you have a heat gun, you can from a distance heat it so that it dries. And then we're just going to do the same, and with we have 4 colors, so we're going to do about a quarter of the tile. And you can choose to do more or less if you want it to be more dominant in a color. And you just want to run the second line right along so it kind of will spread into the first line and kind of interact with it, and you don't want any white to show. And you're just going to keep doing this. It's drying pretty quick, so we're just going to keep going. And if your lines get too wide, you can just overlap that last line to make sure. And I'm just going to keep working. That one wasn't quite dry, but I like how it interacted with it, so that's fine. Alright, and you can always go back over them if you're not happy with how it created the line. So then you can do your next cup same way. And I'm going to use, for this color change, I'm going to use the same brush because the yellow is just going to, the orange is just going to take over the yellow. I usually do this at least 4 at a time so that they have time to dry while I'm moving on to the next one. And just a quick swipe is all you need. Give it a dry. And now you see they're like wider at this end. It's because I'm starting here. So I'm going to change it up and start at the other end for a couple of times. And you can also, like, as you dot your palette, you can like dot it on the side to get a lot of the excess off. And that was like too much. So I'm going to go in without dipping and kind of make the lines that I'm looking for. There, I'm going to go in once that's dry and fill that in. The idea is that when you swipe, you do want to make it go end to end, so you get that like ripple effect from one end to the other. If you stop in the middle, then it's gonna mess with the continuity of it all. So these kind of look like candy corn at this point. And I am going to, I have flamingo, but flamingo kind of turns out a little more orange than pink, but I think I'm going to do that with like a drop of the wild plum to kind of pull it over to the purple side. And then add my alcohol. And you can do whatever mix you want of alcohol to alcohol ink. Just make sure that it's kind of consistent across the colors. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some that are more dense and some that move more and interact with each other, with itself, because it's got more alcohol in it. So you just want to be careful of that. Yeah, that's a good pink color. And I knew this one I had put too much on, so that's why I kind of dabbed it and went across. We'll come back to that. And I will know, I tried this with wild plum before, and I don't know what it is about the wild plum. It's like denser, and it does not move nice in this. It still made a pretty effect, but when I mixed it with like the wild plum, I think I misspoke. The eggplant doesn't move right. So when I mixed it with the wild plum, they were like two different types of lines. So you'll figure that out. The cool thing about this is that you can erase anything and start over if you don't like it, and you're only out the ink. And I got so into this one, I forgot I needed to change colors. Oh shoot. I hate when I do that. I have a drop over there, which I can probably fix, but that was so pretty. It will stay pretty, but still. And this one's good. I'm just going to do one more line here at the end to kind of break that line up. I'm going to add one more in there. And I'm going to put one more here. These are fun to do too if you start with a dark color and just keep adding drops of ink or alcohol to it to thin it out. That's fun too, but you also run into there with how the consistency changes, so be mindful of that. Okay, so this one seems really dark. Alright, here goes nothing. Oops, I dipped it into the pink. And we're just going back and forth, making sure we overlap the line before. And here we go. And the edges, I have a gold, like Posca pen. It's not Posca, but the same idea. I just go around and cover the edges, especially on these. Sometimes when I'm just moving them around, it covers the edges pretty well with the alcohol ink, but these don't really take on the color. So I just put a gold or a silver if silver feels better, but I feel like gold would go well with this. So I'll do a gold border after it's all dried. And then to finish these, I will cover them in a coat or two of epoxy, and that will make them super durable for to use as coasters. And the epoxy that I use is either the Stone Coat, I think it's Diamond Epoxy, or there's a brand you can get that's meant for countertops at Home Depot. I use that one too because that one is heat resistant, so that works well. And that is that. I'm just going to go through and if I see any lines that I don't like, I want like a little more purple here. So I'm going to go into pink. Alright, so there we go. And let me move this down so you can look closely at them and see all the lines that they form. This overhead light is awful, but it's good for working under. So there you go.